A whisper from the sands of time. Imagine a scorching Mesopotamian desert where the relentless sun beats down on a cracked, arid plain, stretching endlessly toward the horizon. Suddenly, this barren expanse is pierced by an extraordinary vision. A cascade of green, a living tapestry of trees, shrubs, and vines spilling over tiered terraces, their roots seemingly defying gravity as they hang in the air. Water, shimmering like liquid silver, flows upward from the mighty Euphrates River, nourishing this improbable oasis through a marvel of ancient ingenuity. This is the legendary image of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. A spectacle that has haunted the human imagination for over 2,000 years. But what if this breathtaking tableau is nothing more than a mirage? A story spun by poets and chroniclers rather than a structure built by human hands. The Hanging Gardens are steeped in mystery, their very existence a puzzle that refuses to be solved. Were they a real triumph of engineering, a testament to a king's devotion, or a myth that has grown larger than life through the centuries? Did they truly rise above the dusty streets of Babylon, or do their secrets lie elsewhere, buried beneath the sands of a forgotten city? As we embark on this exploration, we'll peel back the layers of history, myth, and conspiracy, venturing into a shadowy realm where fact and fiction intertwine, daring us to unravel one of antiquity's greatest enigmas. The allure of the Hanging Gardens lies not just in their supposed beauty, but in their elusiveness. Ancient texts paint vivid pictures of their splendor, yet the spade of the archaeologist has turned up no concrete evidence. This disconnect has birthed a host of conspiracy theories, each offering a different lens through which to view the garden's legacy. Some claim they were a literary invention, a tale embellished by Greek historians eager to glorify the exotic East. Others insist they lie hidden beneath Iraq's shifting sands or submerged under the Euphrates waters, waiting for a modern adventurer to claim their discovery. Stranger still are whispers that the gardens were never in Babylon at all, but in a rival city, or even that they were the work of forces beyond human ken. Join me as we sift through the sands of time, chasing the whispers of the past. Let's suspend disbelief and dive into the untold secrets of the Hanging Gardens, where history blurs with legend, and the truth remains as tantalizingly out of reach as the gardens themselves. The canonical tale, a garden suspended in doubt. The traditional story of the Hanging Gardens begins with a romance worthy of epic poetry. King Nebuchadnezzar II, the powerful ruler of the Neo-Babylonian Empire from 605 to 562 BCE, is said to have created this wonder for his beloved queen, Amytis. Hailing from Media, a land of rugged mountains and verdant valleys in what is now northwestern Iran, Amytis found herself exiled to the flat, sun-baked plains of Babylon, a city of mud-brick grandeur but little natural beauty. Legend holds that she pined for the greenery of her homeland, her heart aching for the forested slopes and cool streams of Madia. To console her, Nebuchadnezzar vowed to defy nature itself, constructing an artificial mountain of terraces, each level lush with trees, flowers, and vines, their branches cascading downward like a verdant waterfall. This tale was immortalized by ancient writers, particularly Greek and Roman historians who marveled at the garden's ingenuity. Berossus, a Babylonian priest writing in the 3rd century BCE, is often cited as the earliest source, though his original works are lost, surviving only in fragments quoted by later authors like Josephus. Centuries later, Diodorus Siculus, a Greek historian of the 1st century BCE, described the gardens as a square edifice, each side stretching 400 feet, with vaulted terraces supported by towering columns. He claimed an intricate system of pumps and channels lifted water from the Euphrates to the highest tiers, sustaining the garden's improbable bloom. Strabo, a geographer writing around the same time, echoed this account, adding that the gardens remained a living wonder in his day, their terraces still verdant against the desert sky. Yet, this romantic narrative crumbles under scrutiny. Nebuchadnezzar was a prolific builder, his reign marked by monumental projects like the Ishtar Gate, adorned with glazed blue bricks and fierce lions, and the ziggurat at Eminenki, believed to have inspired the Tower of Babel. His cuneiform inscriptions, etched into clay tablets, boast of these achievements in meticulous detail, yet they make no mention of the hanging gardens. This silence is deafening, especially given the garden's supposed scale and significance. Even more troubling is the account of Herodotus, the Greek father of history, who visited Babylon in the 5th century BCE, decades after Nebuchadnezzar's death. Herodotus chronicled the city's walls, temples, and bustling markets with awe, yet he omits any reference to the gardens, an omission that casts a long shadow over their existence. This gap between Greek tales and Babylonian records sparks the first flicker of doubt. Were the gardens a real marvel, lost to time and the elements, or a fiction born from the imaginations of foreign scribes? Did Nebuchadnezzar truly build this paradise for Midas, or has history been seduced by a story too beautiful to question? As we probe deeper, the threads of this canonical tale begin to fray, inviting us to explore the conspiracies that seek to explain the garden's elusive legacy. Conspiracy theory. A myth forged by Greek embellishment. What if the hanging gardens are nothing more than a phantom, a literary creation conjured by Greek historians to dazzle their readers? This theory posits that the gardens never graced the earth, their lush terraces existing only in the pages of ancient texts. The absence of archaeological evidence in Babylon bolsters this skepticism. In the early 20th century, German archaeologist Robert Koldewey excavated the ruins of Nebuchadnezzar's capital for nearly 2 decades, unearthing the foundations of his palace, the dazzling Ishtar Gate, and the processional way. He even identified a series of vaulted chambers in the palace's northeastern corner, speculating they might have supported a terraced garden. But no irrigation systems, plant remains, or definitive proof emerged, leaving his hypothesis unconfirmed. The Greek accounts, penned centuries after Nebuchadnezzar's reign, are riddled with inconsistencies that fuel this theory. Berossus wrote 200 years after the king's death, relying on oral traditions or earlier records now lost to us. Diodorus Siculus and Strabo, writing in the 1st century BCE and CE respectively, were even further removed, their descriptions likely drawn from second-hand tales or embellished travelogues. Diodorus muddies the waters by attributing the gardens to a Syrian king, or the mythical queen Semiramis, who ruled Assyria centuries before Nebuchadnezzar. Strabo claims the gardens stood in his time, yet no contemporary Roman sources corroborate this, suggesting a disconnect between reality and rhetoric. This theory gains traction when we consider the cultural context. The Greeks, fascinated by the exotic East, often exaggerated foreign marvels to enhance their narratives. Babylon, with its towering ziggurats and storied past, was ripe for such embellishment. The engineering described, lifting water hundreds of feet to irrigate elevated terraces, strains credulity in a city built primarily of mud bricks, which crumble under heavy loads. While the Babylonians excelled at canal irrigation, there's no evidence they mastered the advanced hydraulics needed for such a feat. The silence of Nebuchadnezzar's inscriptions, coupled with Herodotus's oversight, suggests the gardens may have been a myth, a tale spun to elevate Babylon's mystique in the Greek imagination. Yet, dismissing the gardens outright overlooks the striking consistency across these accounts. From Berossus to Diodorus to Strabo, the image of tiered gardens sustained by ingenious waterworks persists, hinting at a shared source, perhaps a real structure, misremembered or misplaced. Could the Greeks have amplified a modest garden into a world wonder? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? This question propels us toward alternative explanations, where the garden's roots may lie beyond Babylon's walls. Conspiracy Theory 2. A Lost Eden Beneath the Euphrates. If the Hanging Gardens did bloom in Babylon, could their remnants lie hidden beneath the Euphrates River or in uncharted corners of the ancient city? This theory imagines a paradise swallowed by time, its terraces submerged or buried as the river shifted course over millennia. In Nebuchadnezzar's day, the Euphrates flowed closer to Babylon's eastern edge, its waters a lifeline for the city's survival. Today, its meandering path has drifted, potentially flooding or entombing structures that once stood proud. Political instability in modern Iraq, coupled with environmental challenges like flooding and erosion, has stymied comprehensive excavations, leaving much of Babylon's eastern sector, a prime candidate for the garden's location, untouched. Archaeologist Leonard Woolley, famed for his work at Ur, offered a humbler vision. Perhaps the gardens were not a towering marvel but a rooftop oasis atop Nebuchadnezzar's palace. Such a garden, adorned with potted plants and small trees, could have been overlooked amid the ruins, its organic traces long decayed. Coldaway's vaulted chambers, with their thick stone walls, might have supported this modest structure, though no irrigation channels or botanical evidence surfaced to confirm it. This scaled-down interpretation aligns with Babylonian architecture, which favored flat roofs and courtyards, but it clashes with the grandiose descriptions of the Greek historians. The conspiracy thickens with the possibility of intentional erasure. Could Nebuchadnezzar have kept the gardens undocumented, a private gift to a Midas rather than a public boast? Or did later conquerors, like the Persians who captured Babylon in 539 BCE, deliberately obscure their legacy, dismantling or neglecting them as the city declined? The Euphrates, a silent sentinel of Babylon's glory and ruin, guards its secrets jealously, its depths a potential crypt for this lost Eden. Yet, the lack of tangible evidence remains a stumbling block. Excavations have unearthed the Ishtar Gate's vibrant tiles, the palace's sprawling foundations, and the ziggurat's weathered base, yet no hint of the garden's terraces, water systems, or even a stray seed has emerged. If they existed in Babylon, were they so fragile that time erased them entirely, or so unremarkable that they've been misidentified? This theory clings to hope, banking on future digs to unearth the truth, but for now, the Euphrates keeps its counsel. Conspiracy Theory 3. The Nineveh Deception, a garden misplaced now. Let's journey 300 miles north to Nineveh, the ancient Assyrian capital, where a compelling conspiracy takes root. Assyriologist Stephanie Daly argues in her book The Mystery of the Hanging Garden of Babylon that the gardens were not Nebuchadnezzar's creation, but the work of King Sennacherib, 704 to 681 BCE, in Nineveh. This theory suggests a historical misattribution, with the garden's fame stolen by Babylon through a twist of fate and faulty memory. Sennacherib's inscriptions paint a vivid picture of his palace without rival, a sprawling complex adorned with orchards, vineyards, and exotic plants from across his empire. To sustain this botanical spectacle, he engineered a 50-kilometer aqueduct, channeling water from the Upper Zab River to Nineveh's terraces. Most striking is his mention of a bronze screw to lift water, a precursor to the Archimedes screw, centuries ahead of its time. This technology mirrors the Greek descriptions of the garden's irrigation, offering a plausible foundation for their legend. A relief from Nineveh, now in the British Museum, depicts a tiered garden with trees cascading over stone levels, its imagery eerily akin to the Hanging Garden's fabled design. The historical context bolsters this theory. After sacking Babylon in 689 BCE, Sennacherib razed the city and reimagined Nineveh as the New Babylon, adopting Babylonian motifs and renaming its gates after southern deities. This cultural fusion may have confused later chroniclers, like Berosus, who attributed Sennacherib's marvel to Nebuchadnezzar's rebuilt Babylon. The Greeks, unfamiliar with Mesopotamia's complex history, perpetuated this error, cementing Babylon as the garden's home. Daly's research suggests the Hanging Gardens were a real feat of Assyrian engineering, their true location obscured by time and tradition. Critics, however, note gaps in this narrative. Sennacherib's texts describe gardens and waterworks, but never explicitly mention a hanging structure. The Nineveh relief, while evocative, may depict a different garden type, not the tiered wonder of Greek lore. And the Amida story, though possibly a later addition, ties the gardens to Babylon with emotional resonance. Nineveh's ruins, near modern Mosul, remain largely unexcavated due to conflict, leaving this theory tantalizingly unproven, but rich with possibility. Conspiracy Theory 4, an alien blueprint or divine intervention. For those who revel in the fantastical, a wilder theory emerges: the Hanging Gardens as the work of extraterrestrial visitors or divine beings. The image of trees hanging in midair, sustained by water-defying gravity, evokes a technology or magic beyond ancient capabilities. Proponents of ancient astronaut theories draw parallels to other enigmatic structures, like Egypt's pyramids or Peru's Nazca lines, suggesting alien architects gifted humanity with these wonders. In Babylon or Nineveh, could such beings have imparted the knowledge to build a garden that seems to float? The improbability of the garden's engineering fuels this speculation. Mud bricks, the backbone of Mesopotamian construction, lack the strength to support vast, water-soaked terraces. Lifting water to such heights without modern pumps borders on the miraculous. Sennacherib's screws, if real, hint at advanced ingenuity, perhaps too advanced, some argue, for an earthly origin. In Mesopotamian mythology, gods like Enki, the Lord of Wisdom, bestowed knowledge upon mortals. Could the gardens be a divine imprint, later woven into human history as a king's achievement? This theory, while captivating, lacks evidence and is dismissed by scholars as fringe fantasy. Yet, it reflects the garden's power to inspire awe, pushing us to question the limits of human achievement. Whether alien, divine, or merely mythical, the Hanging Gardens transcend the mundane, inviting us into a realm of boundless wonder. Unraveling the threads, a tapestry of doubt. The Hanging Gardens defy simple resolution, each theory weaving a thread in a complex tapestry of doubt. The Greek myth hypothesis suggests a literary hoax, yet struggles to explain the uniformity of ancient accounts. The submerged Babylon theory holds out hope for discovery, but falters against Nebuchadnezzar's silence. The Nineveh deception offers concrete clues, texts, reliefs, and aqueducts, yet battles centuries of tradition. The extraterrestrial notion, though far-fetched, underscores the garden's mystique. Weighing the evidence, Nineveh emerges as a strong contender. Sennacherib's documented innovations and the visual echo of the relief align closely with the garden's legend, while Babylon's archaeological void raises doubts. Yet, without excavation in war-torn Iraq, certainty eludes us. Perhaps the truth blends these strands. A real garden in Nineveh, misattributed to Babylon. Its tale inflated by Greek flair and time's erosion. Or maybe Babylon hosted a humbler garden, rooftop greenery transformed into a mythic marvel by distant scribes. A riddle for the ages. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon endure as a spectral enigma, a vision shimmering between reality and dream. Were they a lover's gift, a tyrant's triumph, or a storyteller's fantasy? Do their secrets sleep beneath Babylon's sands, Nineveh's rubble, or in a realm beyond our reach? Time, terrain, and human frailty guard their truth, leaving us with a riddle that defies answers. As we gaze into history's abyss, we're left to wonder, what if the gardens were real, but reshaped by memory into something greater? What if they bridged the earthly and the divine, their legacy a testament to both ingenuity and imagination? The Hanging Gardens call us to explore, to question, to dream, ensuring their mystery thrives, as eternal as the ancients' whispers. What do you believe, seeker of truth? The story is yours to ponder, its ending unwritten,